Hey guys, OG Albina here, bringing you guys our IBA Season 6 Draft Analysis. Now I know we haven't had a draft analysis or a draft league on the channel here in a minute, and I know you're seeing a Celestial on your screen. You're thinking, hey, this is Generation 8. Celestial doesn't exist as of, right now at the very least. Yes, you're completely right, but my buddy Brody, odds are, is actually rebooting his league, the IBA, which is a Wi-Fi league in Gen 7. And in order to keep things simple, maybe go back to, simpler times, we're actually going to be doing it on Gen 7 Wi-Fi. And I thought, what better way to, kind of go back to our roots when we really started uploading on the channel and stuff to go back to Gen 7 Wi-Fi and upload that, kind of do our run there. Even do post-coms, I was feeling extra nostalgic. I was looking back on some old Gen 7 games. I was watching back on some old videos. And I'd love to revisit the Gen and, see what we can do and upload it and stuff like that. And I know he's teaching me how to get some Citra replays and stuff like that, so we'll have like Citra cool backgrounds, no lines mod and all that stuff, so it'll still look pretty good, despite it not being in Gen 8, being Gen 7 instead. I am really excited to, bring this to you guys. I think we have an awesome team, and I'm really excited. Shouts out to Brody for helping me out with all this stuff, and, helping me, not only just get into the league, but, helping me out with setting up the Citra hopefully this weekend. So, I am very much so excited to do so, and yeah, with that being said, let's jump right in. So, as you can see, it's kind of spoiled on the screen. We picked Celestial first overall. My draft spot, it wasn't the best. I believe I was like 6 or 7 or something of the sorts. It wasn't absolutely phenomenal, unfortunately. So, my rule of thumb when going into a draft, if you have kind of a middle pick, something not phenomenal, is always to grab the best thing left on the board. And Selly was by far the best thing left that I wasn't trying somewhere else. There was still Zygarde on the board, but I'm using that in NCP Showdown right now. I didn't really want to use that right now. And I thought Silly would be a lot of fun to revisit and go back to, especially when Z moves exist still, and this thing's just ridiculously fat. I absolutely love this thing. I think it's really easy to tailor make a team around it, and that's what we're going to end up hopefully doing this week. Now, if you don't know Celestial and you just started watching Pokemon here in Gen 8, this thing is ridiculously fat. Very balanced stat spread. It has 97 HP, 101 attack, 103 defense, 107 special attack, 101 defense, and 61 speed. This thing can be tailor-made to do pretty much anything. Leech Seed Protect sets are obviously amazing just because of how fat this thing is and how annoying it is to kill with Leech Seed and Protect and Lefties and all that good stuff. I've run AV in the past and had a lot of success with that. Autotomize with a Z move or, some kind of resistance barrier or weakness policy makes it a great sweeper, especially with that Beast Boost ability. Whatever we tailor make this thing EVs-wise to be most proficient in, we'll be able to get a Beast Boost in said stat, which can either make it really difficult to kill or really difficult to, stop it from steamrolling. So I'm really hoping Celestial puts in a lot of work this season. I know I've had a lot of success in the past, so I'm hoping we can keep that up here, in IBA this season. And yeah, with that being said, let's jump on to pick number 2. So with pick 2, we had to go with one of my absolute favorite Pokemon, especially in this generation, and that's going to be Mega Diancie. Now, this gives us a great fairy type to, kind of start rounding out our Dragon Fairy Steel Core and all that good stuff. It gives us a phenomenal breaker, a phenomenal sweeper, access to Rock Polish and Calm Mind, 160 in both of this thing's attack stats, which is freaking terrifying. This thing is really good mixed as well with Diamond Storm options and all that good stuff. I really do love Mega Diancie. I think it's a good offensive wall breaker powerhouse to go along with, the really fat and bulky mon that Celesteela is and all that good stuff. It's a good potential hazard deterrent and all that stuff, which is also really nice. It gives us a self rocker, which is also great. When our steel type can't set up rocks, you kind of need to, circumvent that in other ways and stuff like that. Mega Diancie can definitely do so, but this thing's at its best when it's clicking buttons, and that's what I plan to do with it. I've talked about this many times on the channel, but I think Mega Diancie is definitely my top 3 favorite Megas to use. I've had so much success with it. Actually, in NCP, where I have Zygarde, well, I didn't pick it here, I actually have Zygarde Mega Diancie. I absolutely love this mon. If it's supported correctly and you can position it correctly with the right aggressive play, you can get it in and basically pick one, which is obviously super great. And I'm really excited to use this thing once again here in the IBA. Using on Wi-Fi, I actually don't think I've ever used Mega Diancie on Wi-Fi, only in Showdown League. So it'll be really fun to see how it performs for us this season. Like I said, it's another mon that I'm very comfortable with, and I kind of wanted to take this league as an opportunity. But like I said, go back to our roots, use some mons that I really enjoyed using in the Gen 7 format, and kind of capture that nostalgia when, recording and, getting all the games done, stuff like that was a lot easier than it is now. So round 2, we have Mega Diancie. Let's jump into round 3. So round 3, we grabbed the absolute powerhouse that is Komodo. Now, unfortunately, we do miss out on the cool a couple cool new toys that Komodo got here in Generation 8, being Body Press for defensive sets and Clanger's Soul for offensive sets. Regardless, though, this thing is still an amazing Pokemon. Incredibly bulky on both sides, with 75 HP, 125 defense, 105 for depth. Great mixed potential with 110 attack, 100 special attack. It's got set up, you know, like crazy with Bulk Up and Dragon Dance and Swords Dance and Autotomite just to boost speed. It gets access to Stealth Rock. This thing is incredibly versatile. It's incredibly bulky, and it's a great late game win con in a lot of matchups, depending on what set you want to bring. Like I think Swords Dance is super slept on. This thing is so incredibly bulky. Using it as just a really strong breaker that can lift pretty much any hit that's not a fairy type move coming at it is obviously phenomenal. I really do love Komodo. It has 3 great abilities, 2 great abilities, 1 okay ability. Bulletproof and Soundproof are obviously great depending on the matchup, especially in Draft League where you can kind of see your opponent's team ahead of time. Being able to run Soundproof for the Sylveon and making it run Moonblast is obviously super nice. And then Overcoat is nice in niche specific matchups. Say you don't want to take a Spore from a Moongus or Breloom and you want to set up on them. That's obviously a really good option with Komodo here. So I really do love this Pokemon. It rounds out a Dragon Fairy Steel Core, and it really does break through some of the Pokemon that Mega DNC and Celesteela hate, and really bulky Steel types. Komodo preys on those Pokemon. So really solid for this team. Like I said, gives another Stealth Rocker setup threat. It's a really bulky, annoying mon. I really do love Komodo. I had a lot of success with it in IBA Season 6 where we drafted alongside like Mew and Mega Scizor. Really loved it there, and I really am hoping I enjoy it this season. And with that being said, let's jump on to round number 4. So round number 4, we actually drafted our first Pokemon that I have not tried in the Draft League format up to this point. I really wanted to use a lot of mons that I was more comfortable with and kind of, you know, like I said, go back to my roots and you know, use some Pokemon I loved using on Gen 7 and use them on Wi-Fi for, you know, like one last ride kind of thing. But I picked up Seismitoad because I think it fits phenomenally with this team. I needed a ground type. I needed a steel resist. I needed, you know, an electric resist for Celesteela and, well, immunity for Celesteela. And Seismitoad fits that build perfectly. It gives another reliable Stealth Rocker to where DNC and Komodo aren't going to be forced to that. Seismitoad can come pretty much any way you can guarantee get up rocks because this thing's so freaking bulky. It's really solid mixed potential as well. And, you know, both of its attack stats. It's very good defensively as well, as you know, from Generation 8. This thing being the Dracovish counter. Water Absorb as an ability is also really nice for Mega DNC, giving us a water immunity and a Scald switching because nothing on our team wants to take a Scald right now. That's obviously super clutch. You know, bulky Toxic sets are obviously really nice. You can go like Infestation Toxic, you know, some stuff like that. It also gets Swift Swim, so if we want to run like a really offensive Seismitoad one week and our opponent gets ran through by an offensive Swift Swim Seismitoad, also definitely an option. Very versatile mon. It's a very good glue. And I felt like this team really needed that really nice glue piece. It really appreciates the Wish, not the Wish support, the Leech Seed support from Celesteela as well. They'll actually pair phenomenally together. Say my opponent has a Zapdos. I throw up a Leech Seed by Celesteela. As they go into the Zapdos, I protect, I go Seismitoad, and I'm immune to the Thunderbolt, and I get a little bit more on top of my lefties and the Leech Seed and stuff like that. So it's obviously really phenomenal. I think it fits the team really well, and it's going to be, you know, probably a pretty reliable member, coming very often, getting up rocks, and being a general nuisance to my opponent's team. But yeah, let's jump on to round 5. So round 5 came along, and I realized my team was a little bit slow. I wanted something like, I had Mega DNC, right? But I wanted something that eclipsed that 110 mark, something that outspeed the Mega DNCs of the world. You know, those plenty of mons that hit 110 speed. Salazzle was right there, and I felt like it fit the team perfectly because not only did it give us that speed tier, it gave us a grounded poison, and it gave us a fire type. And the fire type is really important because we need more things to break steel types. Because again, this team is predicated on Celesteela and Mega DNC really shining and thriving. And I felt like Salazzle was really nice for that. It also stops T-Spikes against us, and you know, sending around sub-toxic sets with Corrosion is really nice for this bulkier team if we end up wanting to go that route and stuff like that, which is really solid. I do like Salazzle a lot for this build. It's very fast, nasty plot option, decent coverage. It's a lot better in Gen 7 than 8 offensively, in my opinion, just because it really appreciates the addition of Hidden Power. Being able to throw HP Grass on for the ground or water type or something like that. HP Electric even, you know, depending on what it is. It really does appreciate that because this thing is pretty decently strong. It's very fast, and it's just a great overall team glue for this team in particular. Taunt, Encore, like I said, sub-toxic sets are really good. Sub-endeavor sets are really good. This thing is very solid. I really do love Salazzle. It's a good Scarfer as well, depending on the matchup. I've run sub-disable before. It gets knockoff for good utility as well. Thunderwave, Toxic, Will-O-Wisp, so it gets all 3 statuses, which is also super solid. And yeah, that's going to be Salazzle. It fits the team really well, in my opinion. Let's go to round 6. So round 6 rolls along, and I'm realizing, man, I don't have a dark type. So I'm looking at the draft board. I don't want to make the same mistake that I've made in the past and lose to Cosmic Power Tarachi with my H slash or something. So I figured, hey, let's get something to deter something for running Mono Psychic. And I'm looking around, and there's like no darks left aside from Alola Persian. Now don't get me wrong, I love Alola Persian, and I actually think it fits this team really well, especially with the addition of Z crystals back into the game. I guess not addition like it's new, but being able to use Z again, because if you don't know Alola Persian, obviously it gets access to Parting Shot in Gen 7. When you use Z Parting Shot, Parting Shot's out, lowers the target's attack and special attack, and then it heals the Pokemon back up to full that you're going into. So I can Z Parting Shot and heal at my Celesteela, which doesn't have reliable recovery. You do it to my Komodo, so I can set up with it early game and set up with a late game and stuff like that. So spoilers, I do make this one of my Z captains. I'll talk about the other one at the end because it was a bit more of a tough decision. I knew I wanted Z Alola Persian because I feel like it really helps this team and the two really bulkier mons that don't have great recovery. Even Seismitoad I can do it too, because again, Seismitoad's another mon that doesn't get any reliable recovery. Other than that, this thing is very fast. Like I said, it has the great Parting Shot support. It has Fur Coat, so it's a little bit bulkier physically than it lets on, which is obviously really, really nice. Decently fast. It has momentum and U-turn as well. Knockoff and Foul Play. It gets actually Nasty Flat in a tour game in Clash of Kings. I brought Nasty Flat Persian, and it went absolutely crazy. So depending on the matchup, it can do really well. It has a good coverage. It's just not the strongest offensively. Only 60 attack and 75 special attack, so not incredibly strong. But it has great utility, and it fits this team great in the sense that it really supports our top picks and stuff like that, and Celesteela, Komodo, Seismitoad a lot. And it gives Diancie free switches. It gives us more momentum, which I think is really important with this team. We don't have any up to this point. We don't have any Volt Turn or anything like that. So I felt like getting that Parting Shot support is going to be really, really nice for the rest of our team and getting them in for free and stuff like that. But yeah, that's going to be Persian. Next up is round 7. So in round 7, we ended up picking up Golbat. The reason I wanted to pick up Golbat is because I was looking at my team and I did not have any removal at this point. I had a little bit of a Hazard Deterrent in Mega Diancie, but it's not the bulkiest mon, and someone, most rockers are going to be packing Earthquake coverage, so if they catch us on the switch into Mega Diancie, it's not a good time. So I don't want to play super recklessly with Dia, and I wanted to not be hazard stacked, obviously. So I figured Golbat was a good low tier option, and it gave us a good fighting resist. Up to this point, we actually did not have a good fighting type check. Offensive fighting type kind of ripped our team a new one up to this point. So what I wanted to do was pick up a good solid fighting resist, and Golbat definitely does so. With an Eviolite, this thing is ridiculously bulky. It gets U-turn for pivoting, it gets Haze to stop setup on it, it gets Super Fang, Taunt. It's actually pretty fast despite its appearance. It has base 90 speed, so it's actually a really good stall breaker. With like Taunt, Super Fang, Brave Bird, Roof sets. It actually really deters annoying fat builds a lot. Like I said, it gets Defog. It's just a really solid Gloomon for a lower tier pick, and I figured it fit the team pretty well. And yeah, let's jump on to the next pick. Alright, so for round 8, and in the spirit of picking up fighting type checks and some of our favorite mons from Gen 7, Wi-Fi, and all that good stuff, we picked up REUNICLUS, and this Pokemon is phenomenal, and it really makes our team really kind of go over the edge in that really bulky, annoying nature that it really does have. This thing is so hard to kill, and this is the reason you draft a Dark type, because you have things like REUNICLUS running Calm Mind, Acid Armor sets, and just 6-0 teams on lead with its options. But other than that, it still has plenty of things it can do. Otherwise, it has access to Regenerator, so AV Regenerator sets are definitely really nice if you need a good, especially defensive sponge to switch in, switch out, pivot. Decent coverage as well. It gets Focus Blast and Signal Beam, which is still a move in Gen 7, which is amazing for this thing. So you don't have to risk the misses on certain Pokemon and stuff like that, which is obviously dope. Offensive Trick Room sets are great because this thing, like, I didn't mention it, but obviously it has access to Magic Guard. So not only are you not, able to be toxic or anything like that, or burned or Sand Chip or anything like that, you won't take chip from Life Orb if you have Life Orb equipped to this thing. So offensive, like, offensive Trick Room sets with like Trick Room 2 attacks recover, Trick Room 3 attacks even, are very hard to switch into if your opponent preps for, really fat passive REUNICLUS with Psychic, Calm Mind, Recover, 4th move, something like that. So I think it's a really slept on mon. I had it in UPO Wi-Fi Season 2, and it was one of my kill leaders. I actually had Z REUNICLUS, which I think was really cool. It's another mon I really contemplated giving a Z crystal just because of how much fun I had using that, because it obviously weakens the knockoff, the knockoffs coming back out at it. But regardless, this thing's great. It has dual screens. Like I said, it has Trick Room for some of our slower members and stuff like that, or even just for itself. It has Encore and Endeavor and a bunch of different options. It gets knockoff for good support options as well. Really, really, really solid Pokemon. And it's just a good catch-all check to a lot of things. It's a really good setup and game win con versus a lot of teams. So very good. Very happy to have it. I mean, and yeah, with that being said, let's jump on to round 9. So round 9 came along, and I realized I didn't have many tier 5s left that I really wanted. I was looking through the tiers, kind of trying to plan out the rest of my draft, and there wasn't much that I really enjoyed in the tier. So I figured I should jump in there and grab what I wanted left now, and that was going to be Frogadier. Frogadier is a really, really good value pick in the low tiers, because it obviously has access to Protean, like regular Greninja, and that's something we can definitely run on this thing. It gets access to toxic spikes, which I think is really important for this team. We didn't, despite having 2 poison types, we don't have access to T-spikes, and I think with Celesteela and Reuniclus and, you know, all these really fat, bulky, annoying mons, T-spike support can be really, really good and go a long way. So if my opponent doesn't have a T-spikes absorber, this is something I can definitely bring versus them. Other than that, it's pretty decently offensive. It's a decent Scarfer. It has U-turn for momentum, has good coverage, and it's not something that I'm really doubling up on typing. I'm not really considering this, you know, like having double water or anything like that, because this thing is whatever type it wants to be. It's not switching in and taking hits, so I don't need it as a defensive water, obviously, which is what Seismitoad's here. Otherwise, it has pretty comparable coverage to regular Greninja, which is really solid. So I think it's a great tier 5. I think it's a great budget pick. And like I said, the big thing that gives me is that T-Spikes option, which I really, really wanted for Selly and Reuniclus and Golbat and Seismitoad, all those really fat, bulky, annoying mons. So yeah, that's going to be Frogadier. Let's jump on to round 10. Round 10, we ended up picking up Serperior. Now, if you look at my team up to this point, I don't have a good ground resist whatsoever. I actually don't have a ground resist at all. I have a couple immunities, being Celesteela and Golbat and things like that, but other than that, I kind of lose to a good offensive ground type if you know, things go bad. So I wanted to have that resist. Serperior also gave me another defogger, which I think is really important, because right now I don't want to have to bring Golbat every game, and I only have that one option, so to stop people from setting up 3 layers of spikes and rocks and T-spikes and webs and all that good stuff. And Serperior is a good web deterrent in its own. So obviously with the contrary ability, it'll boost our speed. And speaking of Serperior, contrary is kind of what it does. We're going to throw off big leaf storms. We're going to boost up our special attacks. We're going to glare things for Diancie and Komodo and stuff like that to really go to town. We're going to taunt. We're going to leech seed. We're going to be really annoying. And we're going to force a lot of prep. Serperior isn't a Pokemon that comes every week, but it's very good in the matchups that it does come, and it forces a freaking ton of prep. I absolutely love this thing. I love throwing off glares, because, you know, obviously we take on most electric types great, and nothing really wants to take a glare other than that. So I think that's really solid in its own. I do love Serperior in draft, and I think it fits very, very well with this team. And giving us that ground resist, giving us another defogger, and, you know, just spreading around more leech seeds and more paralysis and stuff like that for the rest of our squad. But yeah, with that being said, let's jump on to the last round. Then for the last round, we had to round it out with one of my favorite Pokemon in the draft format, and one of the more slept-on picks in my opinion, in Porygon Z. Now, for this team, I really wanted to pick up a wall breaker. Right now, we have Mega Diancie, which is a great wall breaker, and that's it. And I think Porygon Z does the same thing, and I think something that Mega Diancie and Porygon Z will do really well for each other is they'll pressure each other's checks. Most of the time, what's going to switch in on Porygon Z, what's going to switch in on Diancie is pretty similar, in the sense that Porygon Z is just going to be throwing off adaptability to try attacks, and the real only thing that really resists those, besides I guess rocks, is going to be steel types, which obviously Mega Diancie really appreciates a chip on. Other than that, this thing is ridiculously strong, has great coverage, adaptability boost to try attacks, like I said, are ridiculously powerful. It gets Bolt Beam coverage and Psychic and Shadow Ball. It gets Recover and Nasty Plot and Agility. This Pokemon is incredibly slept on, and it is so ridiculously strong. I really wanted that Wall Breaker option, and I think Porygon Z really gives me that. I think people really underutilize this thing, though, when they bring Scarf and Specs every single week. Like I said, Agility 3 attacks or Nasty Plot Agility, like Double Dance sets, are still phenomenal. I've brought in really bulky sub-recover sets and stuff like that as well. This thing's really powerful, and it gives us team that real great wall breaking prowess that it really needs, in my opinion. And yeah, that's gonna round out the squad. I really love this team. I'm really excited to jump back into Gen 7. Like I said, go back to our roots and kind of capture, you know, back when, you know, the time back when we originally started uploading, and kind of hopefully make a big run at this championship. We have some great coaches in this league, so it's going to be tough, but I'm going to have a blast doing it. I'm really excited. I hope you guys are as well. Let me know what you guys think of the team below in the comments. Maybe some things you would change, or potentially just, what you like about the team and all that good stuff. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, be sure to drop a sub. We're coming up on 300 subs here soon. I really do appreciate all the support lately. So if you guys can kind of help us push towards that goal, I would very much so appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like. With that being said, I am going to get out of here. Later, guys.